Aloha kako. I'd like to, before we call our meeting to order, I'd like to ask Trustee Akina to pule for us this evening.
Friends, e pule kako, e ko mā ko makui loko o kalani, e ho ano ya ho inoa. What a wonderful place from which to worship you, Almighty God. Such beauty in these islands, the mountains, the sky, the ocean, the land, and most of all, people. Thank you for Kauai. Thank you for its people. Thank you for Kanaka Maui here on this island. We ask you, Lord God, that you would bless our meeting tonight. May we hear praises. May we listen carefully to concerns. May the trustees have our hearts open so that we receive and hear what your people have to say. And may we serve them well with honor. Mahalo, O Lord, for all that you have given to us. Bless this beautiful island and its people. We pray in the name of Jesus Christ. He no no Jesu Christo. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Trustee. Aloha kako. I would like to call tonight's meeting to order. Let the record reflect that today is Tuesday, July 23rd, and it is 6:09. Board Secretary, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Okuna,
Ew.
Trustee Akaka,
Ew.
Trustee Akina,
Aloha.
Trustee Akaka is excused, Trustee Galataria, Trustee Souza is excused, Trustee Trask is excused, Trustee Waikee,
Present.
Chairman Committee.
Present.
We have 6 trustees, we have quorum.
Mahalo. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to our Kauai Island Community Meeting. We're so happy to be here. It's been a while for the year to go by so that we can come see you folks again. So, mahalo nui for coming out and spending an evening with us, and we look forward to sharing our mana'o as well as hearing your mana'o tonight. So before we begin, I would like to ask each trustee to introduce themselves and their staff at this time. Trustee Waihe'e.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Aloha mai kako, people of Kauai, and everybody joining us virtually. I am Trustee John Waihe'e IV, and I am an at-large trustee. I want to first of all thank all the people that made this meeting possible, setting up everything and feeding us. Especially want to thank our friend and colleague from Kauai, Dan Ahuna, for all the work he did to host us and entertain us. And thank all of you for joining us this evening. My aide is Crane Akina, and he's all the way in the back by the exit door. And once again, thanks everybody.
Trustee Akaka.
Aloha pumehana. I'm Kalea Kaka, and I'm honored to serve as Oahu Island Trustee, as well as the chair of OHA's Committee on Beneficiary Advocacy and Empowerment. Much of what we do is advocacy as well as legislative. Joining me this evening is my kokua, Nathan Takeuchi, there, as well as my ohana, my husband Tyler back there, and our baby with the purple flowers in her hair. Mahalo for joining us this evening. We always appreciate hearing all of your mana'o so that we can stay on the pulse on what is working within the community and how we can best collaborate with you all and where we could use kokua in improvement too. So I also want to mahalo our Kauai Island trustee, Dana Huna, for the wonderful site visits we had today and the education that we learned regarding limu and our heiau here. And I want to mahalo his team for making all this possible too, as well as our chair, Lindsay, as well as her staff and all in admin that make all of this possible for us to be here today with you and tomorrow as well as at our board meeting. So mahalo to you all for joining us. We look forward to hearing your mana'o. Aloha.
Mahalo, Trustee. Trustee Ahuna.
Velina mai me ke aloha o Dana Huna ko'uino no kapa'a mai au. My name is Dana Huna, and I represent you on the island of Kauai and Niihau. Tonight with me, I have my two aides, Anuhea Diamond, and just recently graduating with her PhD in Indigenous Law is Mele Moniz. And I also want to thank all of you guys for taking the time to be here tonight. It's very important that you're here. Thank you so much.
Trustee Galutaria.
Aloha, everybody. Aloha. Good to see you. Familiar faces, cousins, classmates, everybody. Unbelievable to be here tonight. I would like the words of the previous speakers to be reflected in the record as if they were my own, because I feel the same way we do. So thank you for welcoming us. My aide, Kyla He, is over there, right in the middle. And we're so happy to be here on Kauai. It's been so beautiful thus far, and I think tomorrow will be a telling day as well. So tell us what you need to tell us now, okay? Mahalo no loa and aloha.
Trustee Akina.
Aloha mai kākou, everyone. Aloha. I'm Keli'i Akina, trustee at large, and I wanted to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedules. You've got a lot to do, and coming here means a lot to us. I'm accompanied today by my trustee aide, Ruben Sierra, and I want to encourage you, please, share your mana'o. We need to hear what's on your heart. We need to hear your concerns, and we need to pay close attention to what you have to tell us. Again, I thank you for coming here this evening. Look forward to everything that will be said and shared. Aloha. Thank you.
I'll say aloha again. My name is Carmen Hulu Lindsay, and I'm the Maui trustee. I serve as the chairperson of this board, and my aides are on the table there, working hard, I hope. We have our board secretary, Lehua Itokazu, aide Kanani Iaya, and aide Amber. We're so happy to be here coming away from Honolulu and into the neighbor islands. As a neighbor island trustee, I just love it because that's when I see all my old friends, like Rupert. And I met a new Ohana tonight, Thomas Weston Lindsay. Oh, mahalo for coming up to me. So yeah, it's so heartwarming to meet the people. And I always tell everybody, don't be ashamed to come and talk. Tell us what the problem. Not every time we can help, but we can be an advocate, a voice for our people. That's more important because we can make loud noises. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn this meeting over to your trustee, Trustee Dan Ahuna.
Mahalo nui, Chair Hulu, and I just want to thank all the trustees for being here. I just want to move this agenda right along to item 3, status of OHA activities. Lehua, do we have anybody? Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay, I'd like to call our Kapohana to speak on the status of our OHA activities.
Mahalo. Mahalo, trustee. Can you folks hear me? Okay, there we go. Mahalo. Aloha mai kākou. I'm Stacy Ferreira, Kapohana for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. This is my first opportunity to come to Kauai with our Board of Trustees, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Mahalo for spending your valuable time with us this evening, because you could be anywhere. You could be home, relaxing in front of the TV with your legs up on the couch, but you chose to be here today with us, so mahalo nui for that. Before I get into a few updates, I just wanted to recognize our administrative team who also came to Kauai to support our Board of Trustees. So at this time, I'm gonna call your names and announce your titles. If you could please just wave to our friends in the crowd so they know who you are. At this time, I'd like to introduce our Director of Oiwi Wellbeing and Aina Momona, Kuike Kamakea Ohelo. Director of Education and Culture-Based Learning, Anuhea Awo-chan. IT Systems Engineer and Administrator, Daniel Santos. IT Systems Engineer and Administrator, Kelsey Wade. We have our Interim Beneficiary Services Manager, Ilima Kela. Communications Strategist, Kelly Swallow. She's back there. Multimedia Designer, Joshua Ko. And our Genealogy Ancestry Specialist, Lucy Meyer. She's in the back. Mahalo team. Okay, I need to get there. Go ahead.
Checking. Oh. We're messing up because we're so excited to be here with you folks. But we have some staff members of trustees that are absent, and I want to introduce them. Anuhea, not Anuhea, but Kauai. Oh, the two Kauais. And Rochelle. Rochelle and one Kauai represents Trustee Souza, and the other Kauai represents Trustee Trask. So, kalamai.
Mahalo. So every year, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs puts out a community report, and I'm just going to give you a high-level overview of some things that our compliance and advocacy PAIA are monitoring on behalf of beneficiaries. And if you want more detail, again, please go to oha.org, and you can see the specific community island report for more details. So two challenges that we are keeping our eye on, and we are putting in testimony to ensure that our Kanaka voices are being heard regarding the Pacific Missile Range and Koke'e Park Geophysical Observatory lease renewals. We are making sure that our compliance division is monitoring and putting in our Malama'aina concerns and making sure that, that we are monitoring the dollar renewal leases as well as environmental concerns that we as an agency have. We're also monitoring the permitting approvals for Ku'anoe o Koloa project and the drainage impacts for Kanioluma Heiau. Right now, we are evaluating and pursuing advocacy actions to protect the Heiau in collaboration with Uncle Rupert. I also wanted to share that OHA funding activities for Kauai is at an all-time high. We have 21 currently active grantees providing services to Kauai with over $16 million coming to our beneficiaries here on island. 8 of those active grantees are exclusive just to Kauai at $789,000. We also have 30 active Native Hawaiian revolving loan fund and consumer microloan program funds being provided to Kauai residents at over $2 million. So a lot of work being done in getting resources out to community. Mahalo, trustee.
Thank you, Stacy. So our next item on the agenda is our community presentations. Our first presenter is Aina Alliance, Jeremy Makepa. I'd like to call up Jeremy.
Do we have anybody to speak again?
Oh, I just wanted to add if there's anybody to speak on this agenda item. Here. Okay, thank you so much. Jeremy, take it away.
Hello, Kako, Jeremy Makepa. I am the board president for Aina Alliance. And we're gonna try and get a PowerPoint up on the board behind you that I just put together today to kind of give some picture to all of the work that we've done. And before we start, I just wanted to thank Trustee Danahuna for inviting me to do a presentation here. We've been doing a lot of work in the Anahola area for the last 4 years, cleaning up the property, removing a lot of abandoned cars, and reducing criminal activity, and most important for my job, reducing fires. So as this comes up, I'll kind of get started. So while we wait, I'll just give you a story about how we got started. This project got started in about 2020, bringing you back to the time of COVID when plenty of people wasn't working, plenty of people wasn't living in houses, people was trying to find money and food, and had plenty of crime, and people was stealing stuff, and they never have no place to go. So Anahola is mostly Hawaiian homelands, and this particular area, what they call Anahola Back Roads, nobody really manages it. So had plenty crime going on, plenty cars was getting stolen back there. And I had just taken over as the fire prevention captain in the fire department, and my job was community risk reduction. So this is me, my intro. Jeremy Makepa, President Aina Alliance. I've been in the Kauai Fire Department for 21 years, currently fire captain in the Kapa'a District. I'm an Anahola resident and blessed to be DHHL Homestead leasee. And with my job, I've been in coordination with multiple state, county, and private organizations to help the benefit of this project. So this is how I got started, fires. We had a lot of big fires this week and last week, going from Hanapepe all the way down to Kamakani and almost burning down that town. We almost had another Lahaina here in Kauai. Over 1,000 acres burned in that fire. And then this week, we had another fire in Kokee, 1,600 acre fire, multiple agencies coming through and helping out and learning from the Lahaina fire and what to do with evacuations, turning off power, getting people mobilized, getting people demobilized. And this is the kind of stuff I was thinking about back in 2020 as the community risk reduction fire captain for our island. And to me, Anahola was the most at risk because of the homeless situation, because of the dumping and criminal activity, and the close proximity of flammable vegetation and the fire load that had happened. So we've seen all of this headlines in the news last year with Lahaina, and now in this month, we're seeing it here on the west side of Kauai, but not in Anahola. So that's what I've been doing, trying to keep our community safe. We founded Aina Alliance in 2021, and we've been working to stop this. And what it was mostly about is defensible space. So this picture is from Lahaina, one house that was left there because they had done defensible space around their own home to limit flammable items around the property. And this is what I was trying to do for our community, is create defensible space around the community, looking at all of the flammable vegetation and create fire breaks around the area and remove the pollution that was being dumped in the area. And using all the government agencies and whoever would help us to come, and community events for cleanups, schools, whoever would come and help clean up. That's what I was trying to create. But in this picture is just one house. What we were trying to do is protect the whole community. So OHA's foundations, Aina, Ohana, and Mo'omehu, we tie in a lot of this into what we do with Aina Alliance. Next slide. So in Aina Land and Water, this was the situation before we took over. Homeless hippies just coming on Hawaiian land, bringing their junk, dumping stuff. People were stealing cars, stripping them, dropping them off there, ripping out all the parts, burning them. Fire department coming in, you try and secure the place, they just rip off the gates, tie seat belts to the gate and just rip them right off and then go in where they like. So in the past couple years, we've had a drastic reduction in fires, crime, and pollution. So in this foundation, we've been very successful. For Ohana and family, we've had a lot of community involvement. We've had families coming out, helping clean up, bringing their own equipment, coming down to the beaches. I think to date we've removed 72 cars off the beaches there. But in this 432-acre property that we steward, that we take Kuleana for, I believe there's over 400 abandoned cars still remaining. So we still got a lot of work to do. Omehu, for culture, we try and bring in education and generational connectivity to the space. We have a lot of land to take care of, but it also provides a lot of opportunity for education with Native Hawaiian culture, with marine biology, with making imu, just connecting the families from old to young and passing on that information and passing on our culture. But this hasn't come with a lot of challenges. We have a lot of financial costs, and it takes a lot of resources to manage a 400-acre property. So we gotta bring in big equipment, we get plenty rubbish to haul out, and it takes a lot of manpower. A lot of the annual expenses we gotta deal with: security management, landscaping, fuel for our equipment, big area, no water, and no bathrooms, so we bring in portable bathrooms, hauling out all the trash, bringing in heavy equipment, and the maintenance of all of that, and then insurance for this place. But that's where OHA has come in. We have received INA grant this year, $100,000 over 2 years. So we get support in those areas there. And then we did get some capacity building funds for this year. I think it was $25,000. So mahalo to you guys for stepping up and helping us with that. For us, this is the next phase of work that we've started. We're trying to create more access down to the beaches so that the community can get down there, but still control access so that we're not getting so much dumping. So we're creating fire break roads with fencing. This is our first phase. We've already completed this road down to the beach. Phase 2 will bring us across the first beach from Anahola Beach Park down to the first beachfront called Kaili'u. Eventually, we'd like to turn that into more of a beach park area and then have more schools coming down there. I mean, just at that beach alone, I think we took off 50 cars from that beach. And then Trustee Danahuna has been there on Kanui Kapono excursions. I think we had 200 students and family down there enjoying that beach after the first cleanup. And then our next phase is a big one. This is a lot of fire break roads that we want to grid out to protect the south side of the Anahola community. And it'll have fencing, some cliff protection, clearing some ditch lines for the flooding, but just a massive area that should be homes in Hawaiian Homes regional plan. A lot of this is supposed to be developed into homes, and we just want to make sure that whoever is blessed to receive these homes will not inherit a toxic dump. So we'll keep it clean and protected until that point and try and make use of it. And as part of that, we're looking at controlled grazing, using animals for vegetation control and just low impact. The challenge we have with that is fencing costs, and this would be a better way to, a more environmentally friendly way, I would say, way to control fire vegetation. As far as OHA's directions, economic stability, educational pathways, quality housing, and health outcomes, this is what we're looking at in the future. So for economic stability, this place is awesome for trail riding. I mean, along the shoreline, the biking and hiking trails are amazing. E-bikes would be better, but we do get a lot of motorbikers, mountain bikers, hikers, horseback riding. So just using it more for low impact activities and making it safe for people to go back there, where before, with a lot of the homeless camps and the mental illness that was going on, was kind of scary to go back there. Other opportunities we have in the area for workforce development, landscaping training. There's a lot of opportunity for heavy equipment use, construction, and agriculture. So we'll be looking for ways to bring those things in and clean up the area, as well as train the next generation. Educational pathways, back in this area, Kauai School has been there doing projects, Kanui Kapono. This summer, we tried a pilot project for field school studies with UH West Oahu and Oregon State University coming in with indigenous studies classes, but we'd like to open that up for more opportunities. OHA's grant also provides for cultural workshops in the area. And for me, I think like the next generation, that's what we gotta bring back, yeah? So we keep sending our best and brightest away to college, but we don't give them opportunities to come home. We don't give them housing opportunities. We don't give them good jobs. So I think a project like this would help with that. They can come home too. Quality housing, median house prices on Kauai, 1.4 million. So I don't know who can afford that, but I cannot. So we was looking at off-grid tiny homes as a starter option. DHHL has a Kuleana settlement plan in Anahola, 100 2-acre lots for agricultural use. So this is kind of a pilot project I had an idea for: solar water, composting toilets, and gardening. For health outcomes, part of the OHA grant, we've been doing La'au workshops, which you see here. We've been cleaning the coastlines. We got conservation planning and creating a safe meeting place and a secure access point to the beach. So in Alliance, our mission is to convert land liabilities into community assets. And I'd just like to mahalo you guys for helping us build the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeremy. I wanted to add one more thing. If there was a fire in Anahola, I want people to know that in the homesteads, the bridge is broken, so there's only one exit. So you cannot imagine having one fire there. So thank you so much for your hard work. And I want to say thank you to OHA for supporting his work. So thank you so much. Trustee Akaka.
Oh, mahalo. I have a question, but before I ask the question, I want to say mahalo anui for the amazing work you're doing for our beloved Anahola and our beloved Anahola community, our Hawaiian community down there. What we're seeing today is just so impressive. My question is, in regards to our site visit that we had today regarding Limu and the Limu project down there, is the concern about water access. How does that affect what all this looks like now and in the future? And I know that has to do with DHHL as well. I'm trying to think of how we can best advocate for you all.
Well, in the area that we're taking care of, there is no water access. And that's what's holding up a lot of the building projects, is they don't have enough water credits to develop more subdivisions. Yeah. So advocating for more water and access to more water would be beneficial for what we're doing, definitely.
They told us that the people up from Anahola were diverting the water. I mean, we have that problem in Maui, so I'm very familiar with it. But is that a fact, and is it being diverted legally, or are they just doing it because they're big business?
My understanding of the water system on the Mauka areas is there are either 4 or 5 reservoirs that would feed down to the Anahola area and would supply our watershed. And Hawaiian Homes is currently in the process of decommissioning most of them, because of the maintenance to take care of it on the state level. So that would limit our water access if they continue to decommission them.
So during that 72 days of rain, there was water up there, but they had to breach those waterways. Yeah, that's why they stopped all of that, because the water used to go down through KIUC and all of that. Yeah,
Right.
but you're correct.
I personally feel that this is where we lean on our kupuna, those that still are alive with us, those generational leaders that we have still with us, to share on how it was before and how it was working with the waterways and the Aina down there. I think that's a key part to going forward on this.
And just in my observation over the last couple of years since they've started decommissioning those reservoirs, the flooding that has been happening in recent times has been greater because the reservoirs aren't able to absorb a lot of that Mauka water. It flushes down through Anahola River and gets to the ocean faster and more prominently.
So I want to make sure I'm hearing this correct. So those that are involved in this, it's community, it's the state, it's DHHL, county as well?
As far as the water system, that I'm not too familiar with, but I know DHHL is in the process of decommissioning those areas. But those reservoirs are not in our area of Kuleana. But I mean, if that was something that the community wanted to do, to try and pursue that so that we can look for grants and opportunities to take care of that, I would step up to the plate.
Thank you. Trustees, any more questions? Trustee Braithwaite, Alitaria. Oh, there you go.
In a perfect world, what would you want to see?
In a perfect world, I think the ancient Hawaiians had the perfect world to me. They had the Ahupua'a system. Everybody worked together to take care of the land so the land would take care of the people. And to me, that's a perfect system.
So where's the problem?
The problem is
And you can
individualizing.
be real candid with us because that's why we came here. We want to understand.
Well, I founded Aina Alliance to be the bridge between government and community. And I think that was the problem. There wasn't a connection there. Government a lot of times makes decisions and community just finds out about it later. So by creating Aina Alliance, I sit in a lot of the meetings with government and I can hear some of the problems and then I know the solutions. And I can kind of look for those solutions with organizations like OHA. And I know like FEMA is coming in next year to try and do flood planning. So we can try and tie in some of that. And just going to the meetings and being active in that space, we become the bridge that can solve those problems.
Yeah, I understand. I get it. So how can OHA help?
Oh, you guys are already helping. We got
Okay,
grant money. Just continue to support so that we can continue our good work.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Mahalo.
Good? All right.
Thank you, Jeremy Makepa and Aina Alliance. Next up, next on the agenda is Kukulu Kumuhana o Anahola. Before we ask them to come up, Lihua, do we have anybody to give testimony on this? Okay, I'd like to call up Lorile and Kupule. Lorilani, sorry, Lorile also.
All good. I get all the versions.
All right.
Aloha mai kako. I'm Lorilani Keoho Kalole. This is my husband, Kapule Torrio Jr. We've met most of you last year on your last visit in your huaka'i. We were so humbled to be able to have you at the farm that we teach at, and our students that were in 7th grade at the time were also able to come and help cook and prepare food. And so I believe that we didn't want to do a formal presentation in that way because you had some embodiment of the work that we do. So a little bit about us and our relationship with OHA was that we came in to Kukulukumohana o Anahola halfway through their grant. So we were invited by our son, actually, who was in the 7th grade, to come and volunteer and do some work on the Aina. And we've been in the community doing work all the way down from Waipa all the way into Anahola, where we lived. We've birthed sons there. I think we told you folks the story. And we just have a deep passion for traditional teaching on the Aina. So the opportunity that OHA gave to the organization was really to seed multiple programs. And you were able to experience one of the programs. Our director, Ray Nam, wasn't able to be here this evening, but she sends her aloha, and she might come later on, so maybe she'll add to the presentation in the community portion. But really, the essence of what we do is working with kids from K to 8th grade and allowing this space, the farms plural, there's 2. We're actually Jeremy's next door neighbor at the Pi'ilani Maikikai site. Ulupono is the name of it. We want kids to feel safe. We want them to know where they come from, where they go to school, who their ohana is, where we grow food, how to pick medicine, how to make that for their ohana. And we want them to be able to overall feel that they belong and that they have a space. Right now, we have the privilege and the honor of having our first students, children. So some of these keiki that are now 1st and 2nd grade, we had their parents as our students many, many years ago. And to us, that is what OHA is providing now. So we aren't currently receiving grants from you folks, but you've seeded something in our community that is gonna grow. It's gonna continue to impact the keiki, the instructors, their families. And what we brought today is 2 separate reflection pieces, one from an intern that worked with us that was also able to meet you folks. His name is Josh, and he was born and raised on the homestead in Anahola, and he's away now. He went to work in Canada, but he wanted to share his mana'o at Kapule about his experience, so we brought a letter from him. And just, you know, he went to Kapa'a High School. He was excited, and maybe some of the sentences aren't like, you know, in proper order, but I think you'll get the essence of it. And then the other reflection is from a 2nd grade teacher who is an 18-year resident of Kauai. And she speaks a lot about us and how we were with her and her class, but really, it's about the place. It's about how the place was made safe for her and her students, how they were able to flourish and grow. And also, she included reflections from her parent volunteers, reflections from her students, and she included artwork, which I didn't have enough printer ink to put some of that in there. But just know that, again, your contribution to Anahola, we hold deep, deep in our hearts. And we thank you all the time for the amazing work that you folks do on the front lines in Washington so that we can continue to receive. And maybe the next director, she will write a grant, or our current director will, and you'll remember how awesome all of the funding has been. So we particularly work on the 2 learning farms, but Auntie Ray wanted us to continually remind folks that there's so many partnerships, there's so much work being done within Kekoa. So just keep that open in case she shows up after 7 and is able to share that with you folks. I'm going to let my husband say something real quick. Kauai.
Aloha Ohana, aloha trustees, aloha Dan for having me. James Kapulitorio Jr. I share this journey with my wife Lorilani in service of our Aina and empowering our people and our keiki through the practice of Aloha Aina and Malama Aina. I guess the real basic foundation in this journey, it's been 25 years in the making. So when you see our names attached to Keikoa, you know that that many years come as far as what we share and what we bring. At the real na'au center of the gifts that we share with whoever comes in our space. And it's really about inspiring hereditary healing through those two practices, through Aloha and Malama Aina. And the things that we create and the community that we build is at that core piece of what I represent in this day, in honoring our kupuna and our ohana in that journey. Presently, I hold the seat of program coordinator for Keikoa, and also split half with a farm manager on their 10-acre farm site. And much gratitude for Oha's contribution to Keikoa in a time in our lives when we were available. We were at a time where we were available to share with our community and step into a place and be provided resources to contribute into where we are, where our programs are growing from one class 2.5 years ago to now we're servicing 5 classes this coming up school year, to a farm site that has its trials and it's going through its infancy, and looking at how are we going to develop regenerative food system on depleted plantation land. The big dreams of Keikoa that you all seen and all of these things, we're taking our time and looking at the dynamic of it, the complexities that come along with that, the complexities of within an organization in creating that food system for our community. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you for that. I just wanted to add, KKOA or Keikoa was started, back really during COVID. They had some mental health issues in Anahola. People were committing suicide, and that space that you guys provide is a great space that they can malama themselves and learn about themselves. And one of the best ways I've heard Kapule talk was with Aina, you can learn about your identity, and that's where the children really connect. So just wanted to thank you both for doing the great work that you guys do, and thank you for being here. Trustees, do you guys have any questions? Trustee Akaka.
I want to say mahalo for welcoming us to your place last year. It was so refreshing to being able to interact with the keiki there and seeing how much they're thriving from the experience you're providing there, that Aina experience. It was so wonderful to interact with them. I just want to say mahalo, and we really enjoyed the mea'ai that you all prepared, from the poi to the wala and so forth. I'm still thinking about it. So mahalo nui. Thank you.
And thank you so much. Anybody else? Thank you. Yeah. They need their grants back.
That was very helpful in that funding.
Yeah.
Technical help, being able to work with our director and see how we can grow that flush out the complexities of a healthy regenerative food system and some of those bigger pieces in that project. Really just taking it, dissecting it one piece at a time. And what are those organizations or government agencies that can come to us and find those connections to contribute?
Are there other, we want to connect, we're a connector too. OHA is a connector, not only grant. So are there trustees that we can connect you with that will expand your reach? Now think about that. You don't have to answer that right now, but I want to put that on you. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Kapule and Lani. Thank you so much. Finally, our last hui makaanana o makana. Hui makaanana o makana. Lehua, is there anyone signed up on this? Okay, if not, I'd like to call on Uncle Presley. Oh, Uncle Presley, I know Pico didn't show up yet. He was at driver's ed. Ah, shucks. Well, he got 7 minutes, I think.
Aloha, trustees. It's an honor to be in front of you folks. Chair Lindsay, nice to see you again. So my name is Presley Wan, and I'm a lineal descendant of Ha'ena, Kalalau, and even Nihoa. We can trace our genealogy. And Kalamai, I gotta glance at my notes every once in a while. So I serve on several community boards and state boards over the last years. I'm also a descendant of William Kihapi Lani Kini and also Alexander Hailoma out of Ha'ena. I'm here. I currently serve as the president for the Hui Maka'ainana o Makana, and we're in Ha'ena, Kauai. We're inside the Ha'ena State Park. The history of the Hui goes back 150 years, you know, and the community there being geographically isolated. I like to refer to Ha'ena as, if you ever read Edward Jostein's book, Kauai, A Separate Kingdom, I refer to Ha'ena as a separate kingdom within the separate kingdom, because the people there are so powerful, very innovative, and it's still going on today. So the Hui, we started in 1999, the current Hui Maka'ainana o Makana. We started 25 years ago, and it was basically comprised at that time of key community leaders and kupuna from Ha'ena and Wainiha. So our mission is to perpetuate and perpetuating and teaching the skills and knowledges of and practices of our kupuna. The Hui, over the last 12 years, we've had the honor of hosting a lot of indigenous groups from all over the world. Rapa Nui, we've had recent visitors from Aotearoa, many Native American tribes. From the last one, just 2 weeks ago, was from the east coast of the United States. So we have, what happened back in '99, the state, we were in the Ha'ena State Park. They were gonna try and expand the Nepali Coast Park. So here we were, and the visitor count was starting to go higher and higher, yeah, and it was starting to. I don't know if you could, you know, I've had people say, oh, you know, why did you guys do a state park, or why did you guys limit the number of visitors to Ha'ena? That's one of the things that we've become a role model for, you know, being able to establish and work with the state of creating a visitor count a maximum visitor count, because our place was getting loved to death, in the words of Chipper Wakeman. So I just think, again, we've inadvertently become a role model for regenerative tourism and regenerative and sustainable practices, and we're able to take care of our land, get back on the land. So it was through kind of radical circumstances that we established in '99, dropping trees because it was getting out of control. And so some of our community members actually dropped trees across the road to stop people from going to Ha'ena, yeah? So we started thinking about it, because I'm a product of the 60s and 70s, and I went down that route, and I think we realized that wasn't the way to go, and we started to, yeah. So we decided to at that point start working with the state, and where we are, it's all lo'i. 14, well, the whole Aupua of Ha'ena has about 1,400 acres of, that is included in the Aupua of Ha'ena. So we're currently taking care of 14 acres, the hui, 14 acres, and we take care of 2 house sites, and then Ka'ula'apo'oa and the Ahu Olaka. And so we've I guess the gist of our success has been, actually collaborating with the state. We were able to, took a long time to establish a trust, yeah. So working with the state, we've gotten back on the land. We're opening up all the taro lo'i, the lo'i kalo that our ancestors built, and we're opening them back up, and so, they haven't seen light in almost 100 years. So again, we've become a role model for regenerative economy, regenerative, regenerative economy, because now from a grassroots organization, from almost, our operating budget annually was, up until about 3 years, was $3,000 annually. I could do the books, and so it's through several circumstances, like the flood in 2018 and then the COVID right after. The state, through the state encouragement, said, hey, why don't you guys, manage the park, just start managing the park. So we have. So needless to say, that $3,000 annual operating budget is multiplied by a lot. And so we have a really good, we're partners. We ended up forming a hui, so we have the state parks. We also have a wonderful organization called the Hanalei Initiative, made up of a whole bunch of young people that are just movers and groovers, and they're an unreal organization. They're running the shuttle and they're running the parking lot. So 3 of us are dividing up the revenues that are coming in. So it's been really wonderful. It was a hard. It was a quantum leap, let's put it that way, to do that. And what is really good, we have a lot of programs. So we just had a big youth program. Every year, the summer, we have a summer camp. We just finished up there. That's kind of last minute. Uncle gets I can't make it, Wow. So I'm sorry for a little bit of bouncing all over the place, but I think, our first equipment trailer that we got was through a grant from OHA, and that was in '99. And so, and you folks have been there to support us through, the community-based subsistence fishing area process, which was, very, I applaud you guys for the courage it took to back us up and stand up for us. And in that pursuit, we're the first in the state of Hawaii. Gotten recognition through the United Nations, for our efforts in that. And again, we've become a role model for other communities that you can work with the state. I never thought I would say that, being a product of the 60s and 70s, but they've, like any relationship, you got to spend time and build that relationship. So it's been I think that's a really good message. And then going forward, I hope OHA will continue its support of community-based management in whatever form that is. And that's why I'm here, to support community-based management, whatever form that is. And also, I'm throwing my kapuna card now, so I'd like you to also for Papahānaumoku Akea, you guys were very, very, very strong supporters of that initiative, and I want to applaud you guys for that, the courage of doing that, because I know what's behind that, So that brings me to my final ask, and that is, I've had opportunities to speak to many, many different groups, and inevitably somebody will ask, "Oh, Uncle Press, what can I do to, what can I do? How can I make a difference?" It's real simple. Go out and vote. Right now is a time we gotta be advocating for voting. Get our Kanaka back. I don't blame them. I don't blame them for being complacent and giving up hope. But all of us gotta really encourage voting, because start with that. What other options do we have? So sorry, I got gray hair, so I can 75 years old. I think I've reached kapuna status already. So thank you for your. I was hoping one of our younger men to come in, Pico Vaughn. He did such a good presentation on the CBSFA, and I just wanted to, again, have him come up and reinforce that. What's our investment on that? So, mahalo.
Yeah. Wait, real quick, Uncle Presley, do we have any questions over here? No questions. Trustee Brickwood. Sorry.
It's not as much a question as, well, certainly we got Pico's.
Yeah.
We got Pico's stuff.
Yeah.
So we're going to see it. I just want to tell you that your mother, Kahili, used to call me out all the time at Kauai Church. So we aloha her. I've always felt that OHA needs to get involved with regenerative visitor industry. So this may be a model by which we can support to move it into the mainstream of the visitor continuum. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I would hope that you could continue your conversations with Trustee Ahuna over here, so that maybe we could bring what you're doing into the mainstream of what's happening with the entire tourism industry, because I think we need that in there. This is not a question, it was more of a statement that I wanted to share with you. Okay, brother?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
And the shuttle has been a wonderful, vessel. You can imagine, like we've had people say, "Oh, what are you guys trying to do? Do a gated community down there, and all that, and that kind of mentality." But again, You know, if you can imagine going home tonight in your street and then cars parking all up and down your street and people walk in front of your house 24/7, how would you feel? And nobody told you and nobody asked you if it was okay. So that's what happened, and that's why what caused us to the community to react to that. And thank you
Yeah,
again.
and just wanted to add, so I just wanted to say, because we travel to a lot of islands and we see a lot of the CBSFA, you know, it's like very controversial. But OHAS has been working alongside with Uncle Presley Wan, and we were the ones who did the reso to help them get the CBSFA. So I want to thank you. We did that a while back, but that was the start to it all. So thank you so much, and hope to see you again soon. Yeah. Oh, Trustee Akaka has one more thing.
Mahalo, Uncle.
Thank you.
Trying to get more ma'a with what you guys got going on. You guys, do you folks collaborate at all with others like the community of Miloli'i that does something similar?
Oh, yeah, we belong to a umbrella organization, like a hui of huis. It's called Kua'aina Ula Aumo, under Kevin Chang. And we also belong to Ealapu, which is an arm of Kua. So we advocate for each other. You know, we keep on hearing it can be really, believe me, it can be a real lonely battle, you know, a lonely journey going down there. But together, when you get together, it's amazing. It's amazing that, you know, it encourages and you get empowered by other communities too. So that's been a big plus, yeah.
So the hui includes Miloli'i.
Kipuhulu was the Kipuhulu, and then Kipuhulu and
Uncle Mac?
Uncle Mac Poi Poi.
Molokai.
Yeah, Molokai. They're trying to work on one, and then we have it's good. It's what it is about values. You know, we got outside interest lobby groups coming and putting pressure on us, and I know it's you folks too, yeah. So I think what it is values. You know, I wouldn't go to your house and tell you how to raise your kids or what you should be doing, right? So it's a value that seems to be missing a lot of the whole generation of that. You know, that it's values. You know, that's why I say community-based management.
Yeah.
You know, let every community decide where they should go and support them. And like our kapuna, we're adaptive to so many changes, whether it's environment or political. You know, it's been going on for all our history.
That's my next question too. Legislatively, how can we kokoa you folks as your hui?
Just keep on
Advocating.
Just keep on supporting whatever community-based subsistence fishing areas or community-based management that comes up before you folks, and support it, because let's face it, the state, you know, especially, you know, they're tied up, so they need our help. So it goes both ways, and it's been really a good journey as far as us going and helping the state manage all their resources, because that's what they're supposed to be doing. So
Please let us know how we can collaborate with you and advocate at the legislature on this.
Yeah,
when it comes to bills, testimony, wording that, the hearings and so forth.
thank you.
And last but not least, they have a working group that works with the Papahana Mokuakea group out there too. So
How active are we with that right now?
we're co-managers.
I know, but how often is that?
Yeah, co-stewards. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks again. I'm sorry. I was trying to concise 150 years of history that into it. So we have a website, and if you're really interested, you could huimakainana.org. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Uncle Presley, well, thank you for your presentation. And thank you for being here. So next we have our community concerns and celebrations. Lehu, at this time, do we have anyone signed up? I just got the two, actually. First up, I would like to call for our community concerns is Roslyn Cummings, followed by Kanani Kagawa. Next.
Aloha no ko inoa Roslyn ko manawai akea malama, Mare Cummings, noho au kalaheo ahupua'a, the Konomoku, Kauai Mokupuni. I'm part of a kahua named Eolakakua Hawaii. It was established in 2021. Our work in our organization, I'm the po'o, and Nakailua, who couldn't make it, she's our vice president. And then Kele, who's from Waipi'o on Hawaii Island, she also couldn't make it. We're all part of this board of 30 members and ever so growing. So we started off, one of our first gathering was out in Kalalau, and we got sighted out there. Nakai and myself, and there were 17 of us that got sighted. We went out there to Malama Aina out in Kalalau. Most of us got our cases dismissed. Nakailua and I pro se. We actually won our case. I lost the second case, but she did it strictly on Olelo Hawaii. So that was part of a really big foundation for us. They still speak about it till today. In fact, the judges would ask her if she would represent the state, and she denied it. Nakai had an experience in there where she spoke completely Olelo Hawaii, and they kept grabbing their bolsters. And as we were walking in, she explained to me the feeling of what it was like to speak her language, our language, the kupuna, the language of our kupuna, and how they might have felt, being beaten or whatever they went through in the process. So that is part of the Kahua Foundation of Eolakaku Hawaii. Then we were out in Hanakapiai. There was 20 of us. There was a few of us that went out there. We stopped their bridge plan proudly because of the lack of mo'omehehu. So one of the barriers in Hawaii, especially here on Kauai, is ignorance. Straight up ignorance. People don't know. And we disregard what our rights are as Kanaka and where those rights come from. And I think, if the more of you could travel throughout Kauai when you hear, instead of just going through certain areas, there's a lot of success stories, but Kauai, we probably about 20 years behind Maui. And I would like to say that Koloa will probably be the next Lahaina if we don't change now. Another one, we fought Kowanoa Koloa before it even became Gary Pinkston's lot. And that's because whether people want to agree to it or not, there's Ana Cave systems there. And there was a total of 13 artesian waters. There's a report. They were able to dig. We stopped them from digging because there's actually a void that's probably about 15 to 20 feet down. They're not touching that top part yet. I pray every day that Keokua, that they never touch it. But, hey, maybe kupuna get on plan, but we don't know yet. We went to court, spent 2 years, Iolakaku Hawaii, with Friends of Mahaulepu. Lost that case solely on the fact that the judge accepted a biological report that was made after the desecration. But it's just a learning process. So right now, last year we spent 6 months going through reports for the entirety of the project, which is about 400 acres. And it was just the 90 reports up until 2000s. This year, we're about 6 months in, and we only scratching the surface of those reports, and those are from like the 50s, 70s, 80s. And that's just one thing that we're doing. Another thing was we put in a request with DOI about 2 years ago, never got a response, but we did get word back, trying to figure out what we was trying to do. So what we're trying to do is figure out old maps on the establishment of 1920 of the DHHL Hawaiian Commissions Act, and what lands are set aside, and to see what lands are being traded off, and where those lands are going, by what right and what law. And basically what came forward to us was the question of somebody that works within DHHL and asking us, I found out that the plantation lands was supposed to go back to DHHL, to us. And I said, that's great. I'm glad that that report could come out somewhere, somehow. We got to file complaints against the judges, the lawyers, for coming into these meetings publicly and speaking lies, fallacy, which is actually against their licensing. So these are things that we learn. And so through this type of foundation and this learning, you know, I think it can help the community really change through that whole Olana Keike, to be able to introduce them by being a part of what is considered our self-governance. And so it goes beyond just that though, because ultimately now the practice is the mo'omehu, which is pretty much controlled by what these developers want to see, you know. So we become that surface level Hawaiians that is not rooted in who our kupuna is, because we learn to look the other way. Because I'm going to tell you this much. You look at the burial council meetings, no more reports of burial disturbances, but it's happening. Cocoa palms every month happening, and it's the same people involved, same cultural monitors, same. So again, we got to go back into DLNR. And you know, I have no anger or frustration anymore because I come numb to these issues, but I don't know how much longer. I'm 40, so maybe I get another 20 years I can do this. But I get 7 kids, and they probably gonna have plenty kids. So I'm gonna really give them that part of the foundation. But it's not just our Kiki. We also go into the schools. So one thing we gotta realize, statistically, 91% of Kauai, which is around 76,000, 80,000 residents, 9% is Kanaka, okay? And that 9% is what's supposed to be holding us to our kuleana. And majority of that 9% is the look-away Hawaiians, because it's easier to do that because Kauai is so small, and majority of our people have jobs that connects to development, that connects to county, that connects to state, connect to federal. There's all these connections that is not easy to go out there and advocate, but it's not advocacy. It's just kuleana, you know? And we got to the point where it's normal for us to take our kupuna out, debate on where they're going to go, have them sit aside, maybe inside one container, maybe inside somebody's house, and wait 20, 30, 40 days to go put them someplace else because it's very convenient. And that's just from my perspective since 2020 until now. And it's to the point where majority of the people that have been coming out there to protect Evie no longer want to protect them because it's too much pilikia, too much fight, too much kaumaha, too much everything. And it's really sad because a few of us that remain fight with our own people over the importance of Aina and Evie. So another thing we advocate for is water. So we've been in SeaWorld meetings, we've been inside BLNR meetings, we've been there when they're talking about the state we've been in the state tackling public land trusts, trying to figure out how much of state lands have been transferred. So we found out plenty land was being sold, but it's okay because they can do it by law, they can do it. All it is an executive order. They can transfer the land that belong to the public. But here's the thing is that when you ask the state, what is their kuleana to our vai? Majority of our vai on this island is located on private land. So it's to the point where when we're addressing seaworm, they cannot tell us how come the water diverted because they don't know. So now they like us tell them what the location is, when the water was diverted, like, you know, so at some point what I want for OHA to do is to help establish letters so you can back people like us that's within this organization to actually have a stronger standing. Because it sounds like we a few Kanaka that just grumbling, bringing up problems that has been ongoing issues. But the reality is to the point where we pretty much building up our own lawsuits to sue these people in their individual capacity, because that's what's going to have to happen. And we learned while in court. The first time we got busted for trespassing, we put the realtor on the stand. And I specifically asked her, are you familiar with the Great Mahele? The judge said, do not answer that. Okay? Are you familiar with the difference between a clear title and warranty deed? The judge said, do not answer that. What happened? We lose our case, found guilty on facts that was presented. We come in again and we challenge them on the doe care side in Koloa, enforcement. We did the whole walkthrough, Kauino'o Koloa, on our mo'omehu, our access, everything. We went on there, we had the land title that was patented, signed, sealed, everything. We know exactly where that title is. Doe Care comes out, we're out there for 3 hours, they come back, and they tell us, we have no jurisdiction on private land. And the beauty of that was, I have it recorded, you are on private land. It's stated in the Mahele. But we no more it's like a lot, we pretty much living in a lawless nation right now. That's how I feel. That's really how I feel, and that's how our organization feels. But no matter what, we're always going to speak our truth, and we're always going to stand in that truth. But I'm telling you, Koloa is the next Lahaina. It will happen, whether we like it or not, because the change is not happening fast enough to fight against these developments. And there's not enough money in the world that can bring all the damages that has been caused back, because these developments drawing way too much water from our practices. So when we talk about these practices, we're not thinking 100 years ahead. We're not thinking about what is needed. So I just want to say, please, kokua us, mahalo.
Rosalind, what is the name of your organization?
E ola kako Hawaii.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank
Anybody
you.
has any questions?
Any trustees, you guys have any questions? No. So thank you so
Mahalo.
much, Rosalind. Next up, we have Kanani Kagawa.
Aloha. Is this on?
I think it's on.
It's on. Good evening. Aloha. Where do we start? Well, mahalo for joining us this evening. Kanani Kagawa, Fu, but Kagawa. I was born and raised in Anahola in 1981, and had a really good life growing up there. I was formally employed by OHA, I think, in 2005. So, I was able to learn a lot and work with you guys, and subsequently went on to do a lot of programs throughout the community. Built educational centers with you guys. Kahalepono, we delivered. We delivered Makawali Poimeo, Hikoi. Educational centers throughout the community together. We did the first, with Kamehameha Schools, we linked up to do the first educational-based training. So pretty much my life has been developing alongside Native Hawaiian agencies, whether it been housing, facilities, infrastructure, water tanks in Anahola, Waimea, things that ultimately would serve beneficiaries. One of the most recent big projects I worked on was Limola with the water tanks in Hanapepe. And then presently work with Meridian Pacific overseeing their developments, land and those things. So I've had a real gamut of 20 years of development, private, public. So with all of that aside, the only kind of thing I wanted to focus on with you guys in all of the capacities that I learned is really here to advocate and just talk about water. And right now to just ask your support in everything I've done, just kind of coming to this hit point of we need to be more involved in the water that is taking place. And particularly, we have the Kauai Water Use Development Plan taking place right now. So it's a high-level planning plan that determines the water use for the island of Kauai. So it starts with the county going out, and it's approved by CWER. It's gone through several drafts, and it's actually gone through several beneficiary iterations, but it sucks. It's horrible. It's probably it's more detrimental than anything because it absolutely allocates and prioritizes water for developers. If I could ask one thing, I would ask for you guys to advocate that the water use plans call for the Kapa'akai analysis, and that every single dam, every single stream, similar to Maui, should have that analysis done. Again, Maui went through that, a water use development plan, and it went a year. It was rejected by council because it sucked. And then they ultimately, with the new case law, said, hey, we got to go back out and get all these lineal descendants and start asking them the water use. So that's kind of what I was asking for throughout. It's such a difficult process to navigate because in a minute plans change. The Board of Water last week just updated the draft. We go through all these years of comments, they update 4 things. But CWRM's still the same. You get a chance to comment. So now we've got August, we've got 20 meetings coming up, but nothing in there is requiring a Kapa'akai analysis. So just off the top of my head, they lacked all the developments that is taking place with Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Go get your guys' documents. Department of Hawaiian Homelands has water credits, water reservations, water lines, and none of that is represented in the water use plan. Baseline, go get all the data. We also have certain developers that already on the books have water reservations, and none of that is presented in this plan. Grow Farm, Lihui Plantation Company, ADC, we can go on and on. Kukui'ula Development, they all have reservations on the books. None of that is presented in the water use development plan.
Who owns these?
Everyone, I mean, there's different agencies, but the point is, you ask what you can do, it's the advocacy component. So here's a list, and I'll write it. Number 1, thank you for giving me the time. We need your advocacy with CWRM to require the Kapa'akai analysis. And not just a shoddy one that goes through the communities. Every ahupua'a stream, all the ahupua'a is going to be impacted. And then those recommendations are actually written into the plan on how we're going to allocate and divert water. That would start there. Number 2, can we please advocate to fill our commission seats? Our deal in our board is a holdover. Our board member, our commissioner, Karen, she's a holdover. We don't have burial council seats filled. They're holdovers. Planning commissioner seats, not filled. It's so political right now. It shouldn't take us 9 months to tee up commissioners. That's what we need. We need our boards and commissions filled. We're lucky. We don't even have we got Cocoa Palms. We don't even have a commissioner. I don't think. Am I wrong? I think we don't have a board commissioner right now active.
Do you have names for all?
Karen Ono. She's not.
Do you have names for all of these seats?
Yes, your BLNR board seat for Kauai is a holdover. Yes. We have vacant seats, yes.
But do you have names that you would recommend?
We all need to get, there's names, it's the process of legislating them through. That is advocacy, they're held in political policies and legislative processes. They all termed out June 30th. So as we go through the most trying time of development with land use plans and all of this going, we don't got commissioners representing us. That's all, that's kind of the point where advocacy. Okay, wait, I'm not done yet. So it's really wanting to get these seats filled because I recognize OHA's role in the overall picture, but I think a lot of, even in the standpoint of, we don't have representation on the Planning Commission as well. And I can remember when I used to work with OHA, I was a community research coordinator once upon a time. It's amazing, it's like the best job in the world. Do you know every single project, every single permit, we were required, OHA got a letter, and they responded, every single letter. The OHA lacks compliance. You guys should be commenting on every development, every environmental assessment, every zoning change that is being taken in a county. The legislative law should be going to the advocacy of the Native Hawaiians. That disconnect is not there. So the county gets to create and dictate out policies, but there's not really a review of compliance or anything unless the Kapa'akai analysis gets called in, which is totally, county gets to pick and choose what projects. And that's the part where the advocacy, that's I think a lot of this would have gotten away from us. And somebody who's worked on every single realm in the development, I can tell you that advocacy part, and not just OHA, a lot of us not being there in the beginning, we are not exercising our rights. And the last thing I wanted to talk about was I want Aina Alliance and all those 3 groups that born and raised in Anahola and everybody, because I'm from there. Water has been the major, major issue. And it's been like driving me nuts. But here's the amazing thing, and we'll say it again. Beneficiaries are prioritized for water use and transmission at all times, which means the county of Kauai should not even frickin' deliver one more damn drop of water to any other development until the DHHL trust has been met.
Yep.
The county of Kauai, go check our credit systems, get on the books, so much credits that is supposed to be delivered to the the beneficiaries, DHHL. So when I hear Aina Alliance and these people saying no more water, bruh, go get your guys water. It's on the books. And that's why this water use plan is critical. Because, like we said, right, we all know a little bit, but if we all put them on one plan, get plenty for no. So thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you. I just wanted to add one more quick thing. So we did select people for the burial council, but they didn't get okayed by the governor. So
Right?
that's the part that we're
Understood,
having,
but
yeah.
we still don't have, right, I get it, but we still, vacancy, right? We can't make a plan to even bury, we don't have quorum. So meanwhile, while we can't get, we're just, state law just prevails. We don't even have quorum to pull a meeting together.
But any questions, trustees? Well, that was our last speaker, but I'm gonna, thank you so much, Kanani. Thank you for your, we're gonna add one more person who was supposed to speak earlier. Pico, I just saw him coming through the door with Kilipaki, Pico Vaughn. This is Pico Vaughn. This is his project with the CBSFA. We got all the handouts earlier. Pico, if you wanna, oh. What are you gonna do? Sorry, Pico, we have your presentation right here. We have a hard copy. Thank you for being here. I know you was taking your driver's ed class, so I hope you pass. I see it. So last one.
It doesn't connect. Okay.
Thanks,
will it move?
Kilipaki. Okay.
Just go to the first one. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's Kilipaki.
Do you have a paper copy of my? The one I can use is not the Wi-Fi's not. I don't have the Wi-Fi. Okay. I'm just gonna go with it because the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Okay, aloha everybody. My name is Pico Manawa Kupono, Kaupua Olanaka Hili Blight Vaughn, and I stand before you today to present my final project for my Papalalele Biocultural Internship Program. I don't like talking in front of people, so
You're doing good, brother.
Okay, so this summer I was very fortunate to spend time in Haena, specifically the Makai section of the area in the CBSFA. I have a kind of structured presentation that ties in our final essay prompt from our internship, which is broken into the parts. The hua, or the catalyst, where you started before the internship. The ha'alele, or your summer goals. Your huaka'i, your journey that you took during this time. And your ho'ina, your reflection. So I'll just give you a brief introduction of myself before I start my presentation. Okay, aloha. My name is Pico Vaughn, and I live in Kilauea, Kauai in the moku of Ko'olau. I am currently an intern in the Biocultural Internship Program at Haena. I go to island school and am headed into my junior year of high school. I have always loved the ocean. The relaxing sound of the waves crashing along the shoreline at Kaliiwai, seeing the ehukai tinting the sky with a mist along the Halilea Moku, and being a keiki, paddling back out to catch a long wave cresting along the breaker. My interests include fishing, diving, and doing anything that has to do with the ocean anyway. One reason why I enrolled in this internship was because I wanted to gain knowledge about the ocean. Sorry, I don't like standing up in front of people. And I wanted to gain knowledge about a place that my kupuna had once been from. Okay, can you change it? Okay, community-based subsistence fishing areas are extremely important to protect fishing areas for future generations. What is a community-based subsistence fishing area anyway? It's a legally designated area where the community and state government work together to protect and support traditional Native Hawaiian rights and fishing practices that feed the families who rely on the coastal resources. So whether that be in Haena, Kipohulu, or I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'm pretty sure there's one on Big Island. Okay, so how it started was people decided that the place was depleted of fish and limu, and they noticed that in the early of 20th century that they weren't having enough resources to gather and feed their community. It came from the communities that noticed that their CBSFA or area was depleted, and they noticed that unsustainable practices were not protecting their healthy resources. Two groups were the state and then the community that noticed that it was really depleted. Sorry. Okay, so why are CBSFAs important anyway? It allows the community and state to agree and finalize decisions about the area's natural ocean resources. CBSFA are proven to keep the fish much healthier and plentiful, as I saw this summer. And many community-based subsistence fishing areas have times of no harvest, which allows for the growth of coral, limu, and fish. And it also allows like older generations, such as Uncle Presley and Uncle Kili'i, to teach younger generations of what happened before. Sorry. So my summer goals this year were taking a deeper dive into the Makai section of the Haena district, seeing the interconnectedness of the Ahupua'a, and learning and connecting to the place that my kupuna were from. Okay, so the Haena CBSFA is from Wainiha to Hanakapia, I'm pretty sure, and is managed by the community and the people of those respective Ahupua'a. So Uncle Presley, Uncle Moku Chandler, and a bunch of other names. They started in 1996, but probably a lot before. Yeah, they were working hard to get their CBSFA approved, and in 2015, the state of Hawaii allowed them to create one. Ever since, they've seen a flourishing amount of fish and limu and coral growth. Okay, so this summer, my observations were that I saw large amounts of predatory fish in shallow water, which means that there's a lot of small baby fish that they're feeding on. It also means that there's limu in the shallows, which the baby fish are feeding on. So overall, the ecosystem is very healthy. Those fish would be omilus, moos, and uluas. And then another observation I had was the main two fish that we caught over the course of the internship were kole and pakukui, the yellow-eyed tang and the orange-spotted tang. I realized that there was a channel that went out called Poholo Keiki, and to the Honolulu side, it was mostly orange-spotted tang, and then to the other side, it was kole. We caught a lot of those this summer to feed the keiki program, and there was an abundant amount of them, so we decided that we should limit the population a little bit more. And then lots of overall, and there are in a lot of range of sizes: skinny, big, small. I don't know. Okay. This was me this summer in the CBSFA. This is our paina day that we fried fish and made poi and stuff. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit of pictures. It's not that much of stuff, but I already kind of said it. Okay, so since I live in the Ko'ola Wahupua'a, I want to share like what I noticed between the other two, the Haiana CBSFA and like the areas that I'm from. Haiana CBSFA has a huge amount of fish overall, so like there's a lot more fish in shallow water. And when you go to other places, Anahola, for example, I don't want to graze anybody from Anahola, but you don't see that amount of fish in Anahola water in the shallows. And I don't know if that's because there's there's overfishing in Anahola, but there's overfishing everywhere, I guess. But I would say like the CBSFA is definitely helping. And I have a little chart here that shows that even in a no-take zone where they can't take any kind of fish throughout the year, a community-based subsistence fishing area is overall better for the reef and the people, which is kind of crazy because even if you're not taking fish, you would think there'd be more. And then why is Haiana so productive? It's because of the community there and people like Uncle Presley, Kili Yalapai, Leiwan, and more. Okay, my last part. So my ho'ina, after this internship, I realized that Aina doesn't have to be physical, but that which feeds you spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I know that giving back to my Aina is important, and it allows me to be connected to the place that you are from. But it's like a mirror. If you're not taking care of yourself, then your Aina is going to be looking bad. That was my main question throughout the year, or the summer. And thank you for having me tonight.
Yeah, Pico, you did a wonderful job. Thank you for being up there. You have a lot of courage for being up here. Thank you so much.
Mahalo, everybody.
Pico.
Trustees, wait, Pico, real quick. Sorry about
Pico.
that, bro.
Yeah, no go yet, brother.
Yeah.
Pico,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Sorry,
You know-
I don't like talking in front of people.
Well, other than doing a great job, I don't think that you're embarrassed or you're scared. I think it's the love you have for the subject that you're talking about. So we really, really appreciate your presentation. And I just want you to know, my favorite fish is kole. Thank you for coming and
Thanks,
giving
Aunt.
that.
Justa Kaka.
Yeah, Pico, how impressive your internship is. Mahalo nui for sharing this with us. What you're bringing in front of us is many adults can't even do. You should be so proud of yourself, brother. Yeah. This is very impressive work, and you really are setting an amazing example for other Kiki to follow in your lead. You should be very proud of yourself. I want to mahalo you for providing all this amazing information, and you did it so eloquently. I would have thought a grown adult provided all this information to us. So, hey, brother, no shame. You're doing really good in what you're doing. And we're here to support you, and you're here supporting us so we know how to best go forward.
Thanks.
So don't be afraid, okay? You're doing so good. And you look fabulous doing it too, so no worries.
How old are you?
I just turned 15.
Ooh.
Trustee Brickwood Galataire.
Pico, Paki is your father.
Yeah.
Who's your grandfather?
Palani Vaughn.
Palani Vaughn. You know how proud he would be? He is right now, wherever he is. And he'd be writing a song for you right now if he hasn't already. So keep on doing what you're doing. We need your leadership. We need your generation. Okay, you be a leader in your generation, and we at OHA will do all we can to support you. All right?
Thank you, Uncle.
Okay, aloha you. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing.
Pico, so your internship is all PAL,
I just finished like last week.
and what are your next steps?
Hopefully I can go into a degree in marine biology. That's what I'm looking into right now.
And where are you thinking to do that at?
I'm not sure yet.
Well-
I'm asking, like I'm kind of looking at West Coast, California, because it's closer to home and they have better marine biology there.
How can we keep up with what you're doing and collaborate with you?
I'll come back in front of you guys soon here, I
Yeah,
think.
that would be nice. Okay. Mahalo in advance, Pico.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, Pico is also an amazing soccer player, so I know he's going to get a scholarship to be a sportsman. No, really amazing soccer player. So, Pico, thank you for being here. Uncle Presley was worried he couldn't do it without you. Now I know why. So thank you. So thank you for being here. Thank you. And Uncle Presley, thank you for the organization that you're with and good work that you're doing out there on the North Shore. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Uncle Dan.
Yeah, take care. So, Pico was our last speaker. I'm going to go ahead with announcements. Tomorrow morning, we have our Kauai Island Board of Trustee meeting starting at 9:30 a.m. And it's going to be here, or it's going to be at Lilio Kalani Center. And anybody else has any announcements? So with that, I want to thank you all for coming and taking the time to be here. You know, thank you for being here. It was a great meeting, and I want to thank the OA staff for helping put on this community meeting tonight. Thank you, everyone. Aloha. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Second.
So it's been moved by Trustee Wahe and seconded by Trustee Akaka. With that, roll call. Eo.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Thank you.